The doctors were sure it was malaria. By the time they realized it was Ebola, entire families were already infected. In West Africa, fever is common. So, when the first patients arrived at the small rural clinic with headaches, exhaustion, chills, and high temperatures, nobody panicked. The symptoms looked too familiar. The doctors had seen this countless times before. Malaria was everywhere. And in under-resourced clinics, when someone arrives with fever and body pain, malaria is often the first suspect. So patients were given anti-malarial medication and sent home to rest. At first, nobody thought much of it. But then something disturbing happened. The patients didn't improve. Days passed, and they only got worse. Soon, more people from nearby villages began arriving at the clinic with the same symptoms. Some became too weak to stand without help. Then the illness started changing into something far more terrifying. Patients developed severe vomiting and uncontrollable diarrhea. Some struggled to eat or drink, and others became confused and disoriented. Entire families suddenly fell sick, one after another. And the medications that normally worked did absolutely nothing. That's when fear quietly began spreading through the clinic, because this no longer looked like malaria. And whatever it was spreading. People caring for sick relatives became sick themselves. Neighbors who attended funerals started showing symptoms days later. Entire households were becoming infected. The clinic quickly became overwhelmed. Then one of the lead doctors remembered reports coming from a neighboring country. Ebola. At first, even thinking about it felt unbelievable. Because Ebola wasn't supposed to be here. Not in this clinic, not in these villages. But the possibility was too dangerous to ignore. Blood samples were carefully collected from the sickest patients and sent to one of the few laboratories capable of testing for the virus. Days passed, more patients arrived, more families became sick, and more people died. Rumors spread rapidly through nearby communities. Some believed it was poisoning, others thought it was a curse. Fear spread almost as quickly as the illness itself. And finally, the test results returned. It was Ebola. The word hit the clinic like an explosion. Everything changed overnight. Healthcare workers who had been treating patients with almost no protection suddenly needed full-body protective suits, face shields, gloves, and masks. Isolation areas were created as quickly as possible. Patients were separated. Families were turned away. Even physical contact became dangerous. And outside the clinic, fear spread rapidly through nearby communities. Because Ebola is one of the deadliest viruses on Earth. And what makes Ebola especially terrifying is how quickly it can spread through direct contact with bodily fluids from infected individuals. That meant family members caring for loved ones were at risk. Healthcare workers were at risk. Even traditional funeral practices became dangerous because bodies of victims could still spread infection. Soon, international organizations began responding. Teams from the World Health Organization, Doctors Without Borders, and the CDC arrived to help contain the outbreak. Contact tracing teams worked urgently to identify everyone who may have been exposed. Temporary treatment centers were built. Protective equipment was flown into affected regions. The 2014 West African Ebola epidemic became the largest Ebola outbreak in history. More than 28,000 people were infected. Over 11,000 died. Entire communities were devastated. And all of it began with symptoms that looked painfully ordinary. Early detection, rapid isolation, protective equipment, proper hygiene, and avoiding direct contact with infected bodily fluids remain some of the most important ways to prevent Ebola from spreading during outbreaks. If you enjoy true medical mystery stories, outbreak investigations, and real science documentaries, subscribe to Science of Us Story for more videos. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.